Welcome to Wellbeing Wednesdays with Harbinder Narula for BW Wellbeing World. Our guest today is Vijay Thakkar, who is a functional medicine expert and a dynamic young entrepreneur passionate about fitness. He launched 48 Fitness in 2013 with a vision to redefine and address issues prevailing to fitness industry. He has written a book called Eating Less is Making You Fat. Let's speak to Vijay about what are the myths that he's busting in this book and his opinion about diet, nutrition, and fitness. Welcome, Vijay, to BW Wellbeing World. It's such a pleasure to have you with us discussing about your new book as well as your thought and impact that you're creating in the fitness world. You've been doing some amazing work in fitness space, including the work that you do with the celebrities for their fitness. What inspired you to write this book?
So, thank you so much for having me here. And so the first thing that inspired me is that the common man who wants to get fit, they don't have access to what, people who are more affluent have access to in terms of be it gym facilities, be it trainers, be it physios, be it nutritionists. So therefore, it is time that, at least with the knowledge, with the global knowledge that I have accumulated over more than a decade of years of research, I should be able to make that impact and, get Indians to feel healthier, to be healthier, to have the right knowledge. Because first gap that I can see is the kind of misinformation that people have been getting, because of the fact that there are many influencers online who probably are not qualified but have a big influence on people, either by the virtue of the fact that probably they can speak very well, they have a good body, plus add to the fact that Google also, Google is something that you get what you search for rather than you getting what the solution is. So when such misinformation, when it is spread across the society, it is very important to take the ownership, because I have spent considerable amount not only studying but also implementing those research and everything to myself, and plus the small set of client that I'm dealing with on an offline or one-to-one basis. So it was about time for me to bring that knowledge out and get every Indian to benefit from the knowledge that I have, and to actually cure the diseases that is ailing India currently.
So, Vijay, who are the celebrities you work with?
So currently at my fitness club, there are many who are coming. So as you can see, people who have praised my work in the book, they come very regularly. Also, while interacting, we share knowledge, and also I also get inspired by them, because the kind of work that they put in. Of course, there is that base minimum level of fitness that they maintain on a regular basis. But then for every project, how they work towards their body, how they work towards their nutrition. At the same time, you have such huge ownership of maintaining that, reputation in the market to be the best actor, to be the most good-looking actor. So taking that pressure, dealing with that pressure, I think so what celebrities do in terms of keeping their fitness and then at the same time also keeping their reputation as a professional, what they do is really amazing. Say, for example, Farhan Akhtar or Amir Khan for that matter, after gaining so much of weight, just so that you're able to demonstrate that role and then cut it down to the levels that they have. Their body fat percent would be what at their shredded, it would be almost 6 to 7% of their overall body weight. So to have that kind of an inclination towards their workout, towards discipline that they have to maintain as an actor, it's amazing. So I also, somewhere respect and, admire them for what they do. So it's not only that they learn from me, but I also learn a lot from them. And whenever I'm feeling down, I just think of them or I just speak to them, so that I get that little, thing of motivation that, if they can do so much, why can't I do even 1% of that?
No, I think I completely resonate with you. Inspiration, I think, is a two-way street. So people who you are able to inspire, they inspire you actually to do more because you see that work on them.
Correct.
That's absolutely great. But Vijay, everyone has their own journey, everybody has their own purpose that leads them to do what they do. So you
Correct.
come from a background where your parents are into financial services, you trade,
Correct.
and what is your personal story related to health and wellness? How did it all begin with you?
So it's an interesting story, actually. I so as a teenager, I used to be fascinated by celebrities, and like at that time. So I'm talking about back in 2002, 2003, when WWF became popular, and even your fast food industry had grown a lot. And I used to just let myself free. And that time I also got a gaming station, the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. So as any kid, I was completely hooked on to that way of living. So eating all junk food, doing a lot of gaming and all that, sedentary. And in the process, in 3 4 years, so I must be what I must be 13 or 14, I would say, 13 or 14 years old. And by the time I was 16, I had gained a lot of weight. And when you're having so much of fun, and when you're in all the comforts of your life, you tend to neglect yourself. Happens both ways, when you're stressed or when you're too comfortable. So I was in that comfort zone, and suddenly my weight started going up. My friends started teasing me that अरे इतना weight कैसे तूने gain कर लिया. And try to sprint so much, like 100 meters or something like that. And I was not able to perform, and I was feeling very low. So what I had done was I started buying those health magazines, like the Indian, especially the Indian edition, because, and sometimes I used to buy the second-hand international ones because they were very expensive. So second-hand kind of gave me old edition, but then at least it was some knowledge. But the problem with that approach was that I was getting all commercial knowledge. So most of the stuff, most of the content, most of the articles which are there in those magazines were by paid nutritionists, not by credible nutritionists who have good knowledge. So I came across the soup and salad diet, which is something that I thought, chalo, I'll try, and I'll try to lose weight. So I started following that. I started losing a little weight. I used to do that 2 times a day, and my parents used to wonder that where are you getting this knowledge and information from? Hello, suddenly what happened? I said, no, in school, I get teased. Though I'll not name people who tease me, but I want to lose weight, so I want to do this. So they were also cooperative. They also cooked specially for me. Like that time, I did not have much of house help, so my mother was the supportive structure for me at that point in time when it came to doing what I want to do. So I started following that. I started losing weight. थोड़ा confidence आ गया. So I said, let's now catch up with my friends, and they used to play sports in the evening. So I started playing sports also. So then that led to more fat loss, and I started feeling very lightweighted. But what had happened was, many a times in the evening, I used to feel very lethargic after sports, because soup and salad diet does not give you, honestly, does not give you too much of nutrition. And I was a vegetarian at that time because my whole family followed a vegetarian diet. So I said that, okay, what can I do to make sure that I feel a little strong, and little I can dominate also. And football and basketball was what I used to play at that point in time. And of course, if you're a little weak and if you're lightweighted now, easily people can shove you, and then you don't have that footing to hold yourself, hold your body. So then I said, okay, let me try to do some bodybuilding. So I got that Arnold that encyclopedia, and I started looking at that. What exercises and all I can follow. So I joined the gym, and I spoke to I hired a personal trainer and told him that, see, my goal is fat loss is not something that is what I'm looking at. I want to gain weight, but I want to gain weight as muscle, not as fat, because I used to be fat, and I'm done and dusted with that. I don't want to gain weight, gain fat. So he said, okay, do one thing, follow this particular diet. He gave me a low carb, high fat, high protein diet to make sure that I retain the lean mass that I stimulate in the gym, and at the same time I keep my body fat the same. So I said, okay, ठीक है, and he was a celebrity trainer, to be honest with you. That time you used to have these Saif Ali Khans and all that, working out at a gym. So I went to the same gym because my friends told me that it's a good gym and this guy is a good trainer. So I took the diet plan from him. I showed it to one of my friend. So my friend told me that इसमें protein और fat ज़्यादा है, पर जो मेरी nutritionist है, she tells me not to have so much. So if you want, I'll give you her number. You go to her and you take proper advice. So I said, okay. So I went to the nutritionist. she saw my diet and she's like, "Do you want to get a heart attack?" I said, "No, obviously not." So she said, "Your fat content in the diet is too high." I said, "Okay, but that's what the trainer told me, because he said that he's given results to almost 10, 20 people with this diet, with the goal that I have." She said, "No, no. Okay, so you choose whether you want healthy organs or whether you want a good body." So I said, "ये तो difficult choice है at this point in time." So I said, "Okay, I want good health. What do you suggest?" She gave me a diet. I went to the trainer. I told him that I consulted this nutritionist. She's given me this diet, which is a little different to yours. He said, "No, no. If you're training with me, you have to follow my diet." I said, "Okay, madam, because I'll be dealing with you on a regular basis. So I don't want to, tomorrow if I don't get results, you should not be telling me that you don't follow my diet. That's why." So I followed his diet and I got good results. But then that left a question in me that, if I am facing so much of problem after working out, that whether to follow his diet or the nutritionist diet, what would be the case with so many people around me? And of course, I was also interacting with other members, and they told me how powerful exercise is for them, because when they got a heart attack, or when they removed their cholesterol profile, their cholesterol was high, and the first thing that doctor told them is to start exercising, because exercising increases the HDL, which is the good cholesterol, and reduces the LDL, which is the bad cholesterol. So that one perspective I got, that exercise can not only help you to improve your body composition, which is the muscle mass that you have and the fat mass that you have, but it also helps you to improve those other lifestyle related conditions that ail people. So that happened. So thoda interest jaga and I started researching. But unfortunately, in 2005, I met with an accident, a fatal accident on the bike. So, after that, so like 5 days, I was in comatose condition. The doctors did not know when I'm going to wake up, because there was a lot of internal bleeding, a lot of internal injuries that happened. And even my family was like completely, even they did not know what to do. Fortunately, after 5 days, I woke up, as in I came out of my comatose condition, and the doctors are like, "This is miraculous," because people, even, if they are into comatose condition, it could take months, years, and maybe decades to come out of it. But now that he's out, let us start the surgery process. So I had surgery on my jaw, because jaw was broken at two places. My shoulder was, completely injured. So I did surgery there. Even the occipital bone behind, that had got injured. So to do bandage and all that on that. And then the process took me almost 3 months to recover, to become normal, to be able to have a normal functional life. Because before that, I was not allowed to drive. I was not allowed to go out of the house without supervision. Because since there were injuries in the brain, the doctor said that it is advisable for him to not go out by himself, because if he gets fit or anything like that, some neural condition, that'll be very difficult to recover. And every time he needs to be monitored. So 3 months I had almost house arrest. I was at home only. So at that time I was reflecting that what can I do to make myself better. After 3 months, when I recovered and I had my normal diet, because since my jaw was broken, I was not even able to eat anything solid. So because my mom is a very good chef, so she made sure that whatever good liquid foods I can have, like dalia, like paya soup, anything that is liquid and nutritious. So she used to give me that, and she took good care of me. So over and above good nutrition, I was also following my medication and all that, and I recovered in 3 months. After that, when I joined gym, I started researching from health point of view, that apart from my body, because first obsession was with body. And at that time, so in 2000, 6, 7, I must be what, 20 to 23. तो तभी तो वो जोश तो बहुत रहता ना बॉडी बनाने का. So that was the josh with which I started working out. But then that slowly and steadily transitioned into how I can use workouts and nutrition to improve people's health. तो वो थोड़ा मेरा orientation हो गया towards exercise, towards looking at exercise, nutrition, and lifestyle as a way to improve health. And I started researching, and at the same time, I had finished my graduation from London School of Economics. So I did my economics and management bachelor's from London School of Economics. And then I joined my dad's business as a person who understands, who does sales, because sales is what I wanted to do, to understand the business itself and the customer problem from the ground level. So I did that for like 1-2 years. And then I told dad, this is very good, but I want to do something of my own. I want to make sure that, whatever knowledge I'm getting, whatever knowledge I'm researching, not only do my family benefit, I benefit, but also people around me should benefit. So I want to make this a full-time profession. So again, he was very supportive. So that way, I've been blessed with a good, good parents. When it comes to nutrition, my mom makes sure that everything is taken care of, whatever I want. When it comes to finances, when it comes to making a career, my dad is always there. So therefore, he said that no worries. You research what university you want to get into. You do your, whatever passion you have, and then you come back, and then we'll do something about it. So I said, okay, great. So then I researched and I applied in master's in sports management. So that was a degree. That was a relatively new degree in 2011. Now it's very common. So I found that out, in which there was curriculum regarding exercise, nutrition, and public health policies. That how to improve public health, and are the policies conforming to those objectives, or is the objective something else? Probably commerce, or basically helping companies grow, food companies grow at the expense of your people's health. So those were the issues that we were researching. So I finished that curriculum after a year, and in 2012 is when I finished. And fortunately, I got a merit in what I was doing, whatever I was doing. So Dad was very proud that if he can diversify into a new field of study and still excel in that, that means the guy has passion. So then we started approaching investors and all, pitching about the idea that let's open a gym, and let's open a gym which is like completely revolutionizing the way people do fitness. People understand fitness and standardizing. So 48 Fitness I started in 2013. I started helping people to overcome their problems. Like, there are many cases of diabetes that we have actually reversed. So they used to take high amount of insulin to make sure that they have normal blood sugar. But through exercise and good diet and good lifestyle, they were able to, maintain their blood sugar without insulin. So those improvements we did in people who are hypertensive, like people who easily get high blood pressure, we are able to deal with that through good nutrition. So a lot of, so from objectivity point of view, we used to use objective science to make people better. And then after that, the lockdown happened, and there were many restrictions that were imposed on the fitness industry. So firstly, the fitness industry, that was the last industry to open up. And secondly, after opening up, there are many restrictions that cafe cannot be open, and people have to wear a mask and work out. So as a brand, we did not want to operate in such restrictions. So then we said that, okay, what other thing we can do to make sure that we, reach out to more people, is when I approached Hotstar, Disney Plus Hotstar. So they were running those fitness shows, and they were coming up, because it was the only place where you had entertainment and fitness together. So I knew that this is a place that can, help me bring the most impact. So we crafted a show which is called 8 Rounds, which was a combination of like 10, 11 episodes, each episode dealing with one lifestyle disease. So there was weight gain as episode 1. There was osteoporosis. So, people, when they don't exercise, when they age, their bone becomes brittle, because of which they have high susceptibility to falls and to injuries. So how through exercise and diet, they are supposed to reverse that. So like that, we had, 8 more episodes. So when we ran that, we got very good response. People said that this knowledge, we are not getting anywhere. It's a good thing that, you have started this. So this was all happening on my social media platforms where I had my account. So people used to interact, people used to chat with me. So I said, okay, let me now influence people by writing a book. So this is the set of people who watch something. Now let me give something to people who read a lot. So that is where, I got inspired to write this book.
Got it. Got it. That's a very inspirational story. So it's not something, which came as a fad to you. It was your own personal challenges around finding the right nutrition for your body. Correct. And then trying to get yourself fit and then share your knowledge and experience with the world. Correct. Brilliant journey, Vijay.
Thank you.
In your book, I was going through your book and it reads that, you speak about human health tripod.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? What does that mean?
So it's interesting because people don't understand that, see, our body is a machine, correct? Like any machine, say for example, car. When you buy a car, if you just keep it in the garage, will it sustain for long? Answer is no, because all the parts will be rusted and things will not be moving inside the engine. So hence that'll lead to a compromised, engine, and the car will break down very easily. So if you run it regularly, if you don't provide it good fuel, good oiling, of course, again, the same situation will happen where the car will not function very well. Also, you need to send it for timely servicing. So these three things are important to keep any machine alive. And our bodies are no different. It's just that our body is little intelligent. Correct? It can adapt to whatever you do. So say, for example, if you sit all the time, there are so many people who get back pain.
Right.
They don't get back pain because their back is weak. They get back pain because the muscles around their hips are
Right.
completely tight.
Right.
Muscles have adapted to your sitting posture. And our natural posture is always standing. Our hip is always into an extension, not into flexion. But if you keep your, hips into flexion because you're sitting all the time, it adapts and it takes that position. So when you train the body to do something, it becomes better at it, which does not happen with the car. Correct? So in your lifestyle, if you don't exercise regularly, if you don't move a lot, because even see, movement leads to a lot of benefits for your body, not only in terms of burning calories, but also in terms of mobilizing your fuel. So the fuel that is stored in your fat stores, the fuel that is stored in your liver, the fuel that is stored in your muscles, they start getting mobilized when you move your body. So that is one benefit you get by moving regularly or exercising regularly. So there are two kind of exercises that you can do. One is a passive energy expenditure, which is, if you want to walk down and get something for yourself, say go to a grocery store, that is your passive. You are not actively exercising. The mindset is not exercising, but your body moves. So that is one way to move your body. Secondly is active exercising, which is you have a certain objective, correct? So when it comes to fitness, people wrongly think that having good cardiovascular endurance means good fitness. This typically used to happen in my gym also. When I'm discussing with members also, most of the members will term somebody who can run for a long time on the treadmill as very fit. But they will not attribute the same thing to a person who's lifting heavy weights. But lifting also is very important part of fitness. So fitness has 5 components. Number 1 is muscular strength. That means how much force can your body exert to lift something. Correct? Secondly is muscular endurance.
Okay.
So how much your body is able to use your nutrients, which is supplied by your lungs, which is supplied by your food,
Right.
to do an activity at a particular level.
Right.
Then is your cardiovascular endurance. That means how long is your heart and lungs able to give the nutrients, which is oxygenated blood, to your body. That's the third one. Fourth one is flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
That your body should be able to achieve a complete range of motion without any aches or pain.
Right.
That is what fitness means. And finally, body composition.
Okay.
So our body, the weight that we see on the scale is a combination of many things in the body, like your bone weight. If calcium were to be removed from the bones will become weaker and the weight will go down by the virtue that there is no calcium in your bone. Secondly is muscle. So people think कि muscle से aesthetics के लिए होता है. नहीं. Muscle is also an organ of long living. So people who generally have very less muscles, their propensity of mortality is very high. Because if you are bedridden, then your body is not, doing proper functioning. That will lead to deterioration in your health very fast. So your muscles are also actually organs of longevity. Longevity means, for living long. Thirdly is your organs. As you know, heart, brain, kidney, our digestive system, intestine, stomach, all of them are needed for you to stay alive. So the third kind of weight that you see on the scale is weight of the organs. Fourth is water. So there's blood circulating. So that adds to your weight. And finally, fat. But what people usually think of when they think of losing weight is that my scale should show me lower weight. But what has actually triggered their willingness or their consciousness to lose weight is the fact that they have not been able to fit into their old clothes that used to fit them well, slim fit clothes. So they confuse the two. They confuse weight loss with fat loss. And then the only way that they think ki hoga is if you exercise more and eat less,
Got it.
thereby creating an energy deficit in the body. मतलब they think कि जो भी मैंने नहीं खाया है और जो भी मैंने ज़्यादा exercise किया है, that translates to loss of fat. But that is not true, because when you reduce your calorie intake, automatically the body first gets rid of the water. All the water that is stored in your body gets taken away. तो वहाँ पे weight loss जल्दी दिखता है. And such a low calorie diet then gives them an impression कि their fat is getting lost. But fat loss takes time. That's why in the beginning of the conversation I had said that whatever is consistent will give you results.
Right. Right.
So only if your fat loss is consistently there in the body is when your inches will go down.
Yeah. Right.
Otherwise, it's just the water weight that you lose transiently while you're following a low calorie diet, and will come back once you go back to your normal eating.
Got it.
But this time it will not be just the water weight that will come up when you go to normal eating. Your fat weight will also go up because the body will adapt.
Got it.
Your body's expenditure will always be equal to your intake.
Got it.
Say, for example, if in a world where loan or where credits are not there, your expenditure only will be equal to your income. There's no other way that you can increase your expenditure. So body is same. Body laws adapt because body needs to calculate, right? How much energy do I need to spend right now so that I sustain at this moment in time? And how much energy do I need to save so that in the future, if there's a famine, I'm able to still get my energy from my stored fat. But that has been misinterpreted by most of the dieters by thinking that if I create a calorie deficit, I'll be able to burn through those fat stores, which does not happen, unfortunately, because all the calories in the diet are reduced equally. And the protocol for exercise that is followed is not very scientific.
Got it.
Sometimes they'll burn 1,000 calories. Sometimes they'll burn only 200 calories, 300 calories, and try to compensate by eating less.
Right.
And now the function of their exercise is not to improve those 5 components of fitness that I just said, but is to burn calories.
Right.
So when you don't lose weight, when you don't lose fat, this is what you end up doing. You end up just, exercising more and eating less, which disrupts your whole mechanism in the body of fat storage and fat release.
Got it. So, Vijay, one of the biggest message that I got from how you were explaining about the human health tripod is that whatever is consistent will give you the results.
Correct.
Everything else is just maybe just contributing for a temporary result. And you spoke about the calorie deficit.
Correct.
Now, how does hunger work, and what all leads to obesity? Because obesity, like we were discussing prior to this interview, that the challenge that we are facing as a nation today is obesity, and which is what is leading to diabetes, etc. Now, does calorie deficit diet work? And if not, can you explain what it is? So I want you to explain to us, how does hunger work, what leads to obesity, and what about calorie deficit diet?
Sure. So hunger is a feeling that our brain gives to our body to make sure that the brain is surviving and the body is surviving. Correct? So everything that is about hunger and satiety in the body is controlled by the brain. So this part of the brain is called the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is a small pea-sized organ in the brain that is situated at the base of the brain. So what this does is this will make sure that whatever nutrients are available in the blood are being sensed by the brain. So nutrients, as we know, they are carbs, proteins, fats, which are called macronutrients, and also vitamins and minerals, which are micronutrients. So macronutrients are typically defined by any nutrient in the food that is required in excess of 10 grams per day. So carbs, proteins, and fats are required typically more than 10 grams a day. And your micronutrients are something that is below, 10 grams. So your vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin B, all these vitamins, your minerals, zinc, magnesium, phosphorus, they are typically required less than 10 grams a day. So the brain has a sensor that which nutrient is lacking. And if any nutrient is lacking, to send you hunger signals. so that you go and acquire that food. Correct. But the problem here is that the signals are generic. It's not specific. Your brain will never tell you you are craving for or you're lacking in protein or you're lacking in vitamin A. Because see, these signals are evolutionary in nature. That means they were there from the time that the human race has, evolved and become the human that we are today, and it stays the same today. But what has changed is our environment, food environment. Correct. Before the 15th century, when your refined flour, which is maida, was non-existent because you did not have machinery to do that. Your sugar was non-existent because the only way that you could get sugar is through sugarcane. Correct. Then came, innovation in food technology. So then humans understood that apart from sugarcane, your beet can also be used to extract sugar. Your corn can also be used to extract sugar. Correct. That came later, after 15th century. But before that, the signals were for a generic signal, which tells you that acquire whole foods. Correct. So this will be signal for consuming fruits, vegetable, eggs, meat, dairy. Any food that I have spoken of out here will always have a combination of carbs, proteins, and fats, and will have a rich portfolio of micronutrients like vitamins and minerals. Correct. Unfortunately, that is not present in the processed foods that we get today. So, a simple formula to have good nutrition and to make sure that your hunger and appetite signals are matching your calorie requirement is that if the food is coming from a plant, consume it because it's healthy. But if it is manufactured in a plant, then it is unhealthy because it will be concocted to make sure that your palate is getting satisfied and not necessarily your body. But the nature has endowed the food to us to make sure that all the gamut of things, be it taste or be it health, both are taken care of. But when we confuse these two, when we consider our processed food as food and consume it, it does not get tuned with our hunger and appetite signal. So, though you're consuming calories, the hypothalamus that I just spoke of in the brain does not understand the calorie, it understands nutrients. So, if you're having whole foods, which comes from nature, that will make sure that your hunger is matching your expenditure. That means जितना आपने खर्चा किया है उतना आपको intake के लिए बोलेगा and vice versa. So hunger works that way. When it comes to obesity, the human health tripod is very important. So the human health tripod, the reason why it's called tripod is because it has three legs. As I said that the humans, they need good movement, regular movement on a regular basis. They need good nutritious diet, which is wholesome and natural in nature. And thirdly, sleep. Because sleep again contributes to the stress levels that your body is going through. So if you're getting less sleep, if say for example you're binge watching any series or you're too involved in your social media and all that, which is eating into your sleeping time, so then your body's metabolism will be completely different. Because the stress response from an evolutionary point of view is to make sure that the fuel is available to your body. So say for example in the past, the only kind of stress that humans got was to run away from a predator. So lion, tiger dikha jungle mein when we were hunter gatherers. So you should have the energy to run away from it. Or if you if you are very adventurous, you may go and fight it. So you need energy for that also.
Either ways, you need energy.
Correct. So the body's stress response is wired towards physical stress, overcoming physical stress. But now, unfortunately, what has happened is in today's age, we get chronic stress, which is mental in nature, which will not go away from fighting a predator or going searching for food. It'll be there chronically in your mind. Either your boss is saying that your performance is not good, or the today's working environment has become so competitive that you have to make sure that you're better than your colleagues. So what things you're supposed to do, what courses you're supposed to do. So those kind of mental stresses keep going on in your body, in your brain. Also, the fact that people normally leverage their life, they spend more than what they're capable of earning. So that adds another stress to their, mental thing. So So the mental stress becomes chronic. So now the body is getting two different signals. One is a stress response. That means the body wants to remove energy from your fat, from your liver, to make sure that you have the energy to fight. Correct? At the same time, you have access to processed food, very high sugary food. So now you're putting in sugar. So now your body is removing sugar from your body, from your fat, from your liver, to make sure that your blood glucose is very rich and you get energy to fight. And at the same time, you're giving more sugar to it. So now body will say too much sugar is happening in the body. So say diabetes hota hai, blood pressure hota hai, your fat gain is more than what you are expecting it to be. Because pura jo the hormone that was supposed to work to give you energy is giving you energy. And after eating food, the hormone that is insulin. So cortisol gets released when you get stressed, which makes sure that all the stores of your body are giving out all the energy that is stored in the body. And then on top of that, you're eating comfort foods, which are rich in sugar, which are rich in flour, which is giving you more energy. So now your stored energy and food energy both are coming together. So the cortisol does not know what it is supposed to do, because now insulin is also released, because whenever you eat food, your insulin levels go up, your blood sugar goes up, and hence your insulin goes up. So now your insulin cannot do its work of putting food into your body till the time your cortisol is there. So this becomes a problematic situation for the body. And hence people who are generally stressed, they also gain weight very easily, though they may not be consuming a lot of calories. In fact, research has also shown that synthetic form of cortisol, so they wanted to see what is the effect of cortisol on blood sugar. So when they injected synthetic form of cortisol in the volunteers in the experiment, their blood sugar was chronically high and their body was insulin resistant. Insulin resistant means the body is refusing to take the insulin's instruction to put the sugar inside the body. So sugar typically inside the body goes into the liver for storage, so that अगर कुछ predator आ गया, extra energy चाहिए, reserve में energy चाहिए, so we should have the energy. The insulin makes sure that the muscles get the energy to store and to perform. And the fat stores are also keeping the energy so that tomorrow, if there is any crisis or any famine, the body is able to provide nutrition to itself to do the activity.
Got it.
So now this cortisol and insulin are doing opposite work.
Okay.
Because evolutionary also, can you think of a time that we are running away from predator and at the same time eating?
Yeah.
No, right?
Yeah.
There'll be no situation where you're eating
No
and running
situation.
away from predator.
Of course.
Or fighting a predator and eating. But here we do both.
Right.
The predator that we have is in the mind.
Right.
Which is the stress. No loan hai, family stress, work stress. And then at the same time, we are eating and not physically doing anything about it. So this is the problem that has happened now.
Got it. This is so beautifully explained, Vijay. I'm so glad that I asked you this question, and the line that you use, that eat food that comes from plants and avoid eating something that is manufactured in plants. That's such a beautiful and powerful line. Vijay, people say they eat less and then they will not gain weight. Yet people, I've seen a lot of people who do not eat as much but are gaining weight. वो बोलते हैं ना कि हवा खाने से भी मोटे हो जा रहे हैं. So, what is the basic factor behind it? What foods make you obese, but you feel they are not contributing to being fat?
Correct. So I would like to answer this with a simple example. Say, for example, nowadays, recession is, on the horizon and people are talking about it. And of course, the big tech companies are also laying off people. So in such a scenario, say, for example, a typical Indian who's working in the IT industry, unfortunately, gets laid off, correct, from his job. But his salary is like 1 lakh per month, correct, when he was working. So what he'll typically do is, say, 50,000 he'll spend on essentials. So he may be, staying in a rented apartment. His consumption of food and all, so that would be together 50,000, correct? He has 50,000 remaining from 1 lakh. From that 50,000 probably he'll spend 20,000 on his luxury. फ्रेंड्स के साथ मूवी के लिए जाना है, रेस्टोरेंट में जाना है गर्लफ्रेंड के साथ, कपड़े लेने हैं, एक्सपेंसिव कपड़े लेने हैं, and remaining 30,000 he'll say that I want to save for the future. Correct? So this is how he has apportioned his 1 lakh rupees, and he has done that for say a year, and suddenly this crisis comes out and his employer says that currently we are not looking to keep you employed, so we are sorry and we are asking you to go. His income has become zero now. Correct? So what will he do? Of course there's zero saving. 20,000 that he was spending on his clothes, on his luxuries and all that, going out with friends, probably he'll stop that. Remaining 50,000, probably there also he'll do little cutting. Probably he'll tell his landlord that, see, I don't have job right now, so can you please help me reduce the rent? Probably I'll give you later. So his expenditure will go down drastically. Earlier 70,000 was his expenditure. Now it is say 40,000. Correct? So he has reduced his expenditure. During this time, he'll also be looking for projects कि थोड़ा यहाँ वहाँ income आ गया तो मेरा भला हो जाएगा. Correct? And say for example, he gets a 50,000 का project. This 50,000 that he gets from the project, he will not be spending from it. He'll not tell his friends कि this month I can spend 20,000. What will he say? अगर ये recession चला 10 साल के लिए, I need to save whatever I have. 50,000 saving में जाएगा. Correct? So the body works similarly. When you reduce the food intake that you're giving it, it will say that this particular situation is very difficult for me. I need to deploy something for today and save a lot for future. So therefore, whatever food you'll be having, it'll be going into storage rather than usage. Because it is not going into usage, the body will say that somewhere I'm not working optimally because I'm compromising. So compromising में fat gain भी होगा, and at the same time you'll get appetite signals also. You will have hunger signals that will be given to your body. In the past, that was not problematic when actual famines were there, because food was not around, correct? And you do not have the McDonald's, the KFCs, the Domino's Pizza, the Taco Bells of the world to supply food to you, correct? So it was a okay situation where it did not lead to fat gain immediately. But in today's world, it's a completely different scenario altogether. When you starve yourself, when you make sure that you're eating less, firstly, your metabolism is going down. So if before the diet, your body while sitting, and by the way, you don't believe, most of the calories that we burn throughout the day is done by the subconscious brain to make sure that your autonomic system, which is your heart beating, your gas getting exchanged in the lungs, your blood flowing, all that requires energy for the body. The heat that you generate, correct? The thermoregulation happening in the body so that the external, temperature does not impact your internal organs. So there's a level of heat that the body is maintaining. So all those activities go down when you reduce your calorie intake. And people only think that your calorie expenditure only happens when you exercise or when you walk or when you do something, but that is not true. 70% of what you spend in the day is by your subconscious brain while you're even sitting. So say for example, 70% of that. So say for example, if you were burning 2,000 calories a day because of all these activities, correct? Because your food intake has gone below 2,000, the body will start matching that. So say for example, it will come to 1,800. And say you're not even exercising, 2,000 without exercise. So now it has come down to 1,800, correct? Slowly and steadily, your body will say, start feeding yourself because I can't be losing too much of fat at one go, correct? So you'll start getting that hunger signals. You'll start feeling lethargic. You'll start being very sensitive to food smell. And somewhere you give in. And when you give in, now you have given in with a lesser metabolism, with lesser calorie expenditure. So whatever that 200, 300 ka deficit, or that deficit that you created actually becomes surplus. Because in your old diet, now you will get more fatter. So therefore, the body needs to, therefore you need to make sure as a person who wants to lose weight to not let your metabolism go down. Because once it goes down, it's an uphill task. You might come to your old diet but you will be gaining more weight. And then you'll be wondering that, और हवा भी सूंघता हूँ तो, weight बढ़ जाता है.
Got it. Got
So
it.
that is one factor. And the other two factors are the human health tripod.
Mhm.
Correct. So exercising scientifically is important.
Right.
Working on all the components of fitness so that by the time you reach 60, 70, your joints are not giving away.
Mhm.
There are both ways to look at it. Your heart has to be strong. Your
Mhm.
body has to be strong. Exterior has to be strong.
Mhm.
Bodybuilders, they look at exterior, not interior.
Right.
Correct. And people who think that they're not bodybuilders, they just look at interior, not exterior. Either way, your joint problem happens.
Got
So
it.
you have to exercise regularly and
Right.
scientifically. You have to follow a good nutritious diet,
Mhm.
and you have to sleep sufficiently, because as I said that if you don't sleep sufficiently, your cortisol levels go up.
Got it.
A high cortisol level, if you try to feed something to yourself,
Mhm.
that will not go into your muscle, that will go into your fat.
Got it.
Because the fat are responsive to insulin. अगर muscle नहीं ले रहा है, organs नहीं ले रहा है, liver नहीं ले रहा है खाना, which is your
Mhm.
blood sugar.
Mhm.
Sugar. So the sugar is then stored into your fat.
Got it.
Eventually, you'll gain fat.
Right.
So these three things, which are the human health tripod, are kind of an input for your body.
Mhm.
Correct. So from a coding point of view, if we are talking about to IT people who code softwares, if your input is bad, your output will definitely be corrupt.
Got it.
Correct. So if these three inputs, if anywhere there's corruption or there is any compromise of quality in them, the
Mhm.
output will show. आप
Right.
खाना कम खाओगे तो एनर्जी कम रहेगा वर्कआउट के लिए.
Mhm.
जब भी रात को सोने जाओगे तो आपको भूख लगेगा. So your sleep will be affected. If your sleep is not good, then whatever you eat will easily go into fat.
Mhm.
Correct. There were times, so there was in between I was traveling a lot
Mhm.
abroad and here, and at the same time I wanted to keep my workouts very regular, but my sleep was not happening very well, sufficiently, because I use these monitors and trackers, so I know that how many hours I've slept. So what I've noticed is with small activity also, like in my warm up only, my heart rate goes very high. And once your heart rate goes high, it's very difficult to maintain that heart rate. So your cardiovascular endurance drops, your cardiovascular performance drops, your strength performance drops. So you see how they are interrelated and interconnecting with each other.
Right. Right. So, no, I think this is very beautiful because, what I understood from what you were telling me is that there are two aspects to physical health. One is your exterior physical health, and then is the physical health of the organs.
Correct.
And third aspect, which you are relating to sleep, is basically we're talking of keeping yourself mentally strong,
Correct.
which is where the union of physical as well as mental health actually comes in. Very
Correct.
beautifully explained, Vijay.
Thank
Now,
you.
another aspect of not eating enough is when, we are in the wedding season in India right now. There's a peak of the wedding season. And you have the brides who, just before the wedding season, their own wedding, they will crash diet and they want to look good, fit into this, get into that size kind of a thing.
Correct.
Now, what is this one? Is this something good to do? And if not, what are the implications that one must be aware of, both in the short term and in the long term, by doing this?
Okay. So the thing is that definitely I have also seen people whenever they have an event, a wedding or a birthday or some special, so in summer, typically people travel in more of, the equator areas where they want to, be on the beach and, show their body and all that. So they resort to something called the crash diet, which is low calorie diet. But the problem with that is that firstly, you don't necessarily lose fat weight from the body. And secondly is that your shape does not change. Your weight might change, your shape does not change. What do I mean by that is the nature of tissue in your body. So fat tissue, muscle tissue, organ tissue, these have certain form in them. So fat tissue typically has more volume. Muscle tissue has less volume, but more weight. So when we look at weight loss from weight loss point of view, it may mislead us to think that we are losing weight, or rather we are losing fat. But what we are doing is only losing weight. We are losing water, we are losing muscles. Organs also shrink when you go on low calorie diet. So all these contribute to low weight. But the question is, are you losing fat? If not, then it's a problem, because then tomorrow your metabolically active tissues, which is your muscle, your organs, and water to some extent, is getting reduced in your body, and you're just maintaining your fat weight, which is not metabolically very active. So again, we come back to our calorie expenditure, our metabolism. So the metabolically active tissues are not actually, improving in their quality. It's only the fat weight which is like staying. So therefore, when you reduce your calorie intake, that automatically leads to metabolism going down. So when the season is over, say for example, 3 months plan you had, where you followed a low calorie diet, whenever you're feeling hungry, what is the one thing that you will tell yourself? अरे 3 महीने की बात है, चल maintain कर ले. So this is the mindset that you will keep. But after the event is over, then what? Will you be able to sustain that? If not, have you done more damage to yourself in those 3 months? Those are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. Is when we have to go back to our thought process of what are we trying to do internally? Who are we? What kind of person are we? Are we a fit person, or are we those seasonal, warriors who suddenly wake up with their fitness goals and fitness regimen for some season? If it is the latter, then it is important to introspect and talk about the former person who wants to be fit. If you aim for a person who wants to be fit rather than seasonally, just, do some crash thing, that is the first step. That is the core level of your mindset change, that, how you should be looking and what you should be doing for your fitness. Then comes your action. If you always consider yourself as a seasonal warrior who has these seasons of, doing crash dieting and crash workouts, then your actions will conform to those identity and those identification of yourself. So if you want to stay fit for life, or, stay healthy for life, you need to first change that mindset, which will then translate into actions. Action could be behavior, that, every morning I work out. I make sure that I don't start my day till the time I finish I do my workout. I will always make sure that my diet is always balanced. I have good amount of proteins, fats, and carbs. And the carbs are also different kind, because with the processing industry, you get different kind of carbs. Earlier, you just got slow carbs, because everything that comes with carbs in nature also comes with fiber. Fiber, firstly, is good for your gut health, because it slows down the movement of the food in your digestive tract, which then leads to two things. One is feeding your gut bacteria, because in the gut also we have bacteria that ferment food to some level and also break down food and remove nutrients from it. So you improve their health. And secondly, because there's fiber attached to your waste clearing is also very efficient every morning. So every fiber food that you get in nature comes with your fiber. But unfortunately, with the processing of food, of carb, the fiber is removed to make it more tasty. Like brown rice will always be less tasty than white rice. White rice is very palatable. So those lead to your health problems. So firstly, you need to understand that you need to have a good combination of carbs, slow digesting carbs, good quality protein, because research has shown that protein is the only most potent nutrient to give you satisfaction. So to emphasize it, if say for example, if I were to give my clients, say in the morning breakfast, your eggs, say 2 eggs, as opposed to I tell them have white bread with jam. 90 to 95% of the time, people having white bread with jam will always complain of hunger within 1 hour. But people who have egg, which is rich in protein and fats and low in carbs, I'm not saying carbs are bad by any means, but I'm just giving two extreme comparison. When they have 2 eggs or, very protein rich meal, like 4-5 hours, their body is satisfied, because protein is something that the body cannot produce by itself. Protein has to be provided from the diet. So your slow carb, your protein, and your fats. So there are, different kind of fats. There is saturated fat, monounsaturated fat, polyunsaturated fat. From this, your saturated and your monounsaturated fats are non-essential. Non-essential means it's not that from health point of view, you don't need them, but your body can produce them by using different fats in your diet, which are your polyunsaturated fat. So polyunsaturated fats are typically your omega-3, omega-6, omega-9. So if you have these nutrients in your diet in a very balanced format, that will help you to lose weight. So if you look at your weight loss journey only from the perspective of calorie in, calorie out, you might make the mistake of thinking of all calories as same, but they have different function. Carb has a different function from protein. Protein has a different function from fat. You need all three of them to make sure that you're keeping a healthy weight. So that is crucial when it comes to losing weight sustainably and aligning your internal belief to your actions, which then ultimately lead to your goals that you want to achieve.
So tell me one thing. I mean, is this then if this is the case, then every body type is different. For example, my body constituency could be very different from yours, which means that each person will need to have a very customized uh, plan for keeping himself or herself fit. Is that correct?
Correct.
Right.
Apart from that, one more factor is your preference for certain foods, your allergies. Even that matters a lot. So whenever we are planning a diet plan or a workout plan, there are many factors taken into consideration. One is your individualistic approach, correct? Individualistic requirement, correct? And to some level, budgets. Some people don't have very high budgets for maintaining good nutrition plan and all that. So then we try to work things around. Try to encourage them to have whole foods rather than supplements, because supplements are very expensive.
Got it.
Still, you can get them from food. So we try to include those things into, because sustenance is again the most important thing. Diets work or fail because of sustenance.
Got it. Got it. No, I think again, with every answer that you're giving, I have a big takeaway from there. I mean, I didn't know that different kinds of carbs and different what your body produces versus what you need from external sources is a great understanding for one to know. Vijay, you spoke about, I remember in one of the questions we were talking about mental health. And we are at a time when children are going in for their board exams and also the college exams are around the corner.
Yeah.
And what kind of foods can ensure proper nutrition and better health, mental health for the children so that they are energetic, they're mentally strong to learn and take the pressure off exams?
So I would say that firstly, avoiding carbs and refined sugars will be the first most important thing, because the problem with that is the attention span that people have after consuming sugar-rich foods. So say for example, many people, they resort to soft drinks, like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, which initially gives them a lot of energy because of the combination of caffeine, and caffeine stimulates your brain to become active, and sugar. So initially they have that good big spike of blood sugar, and they are all happy and all for half an hour, 45 minutes. But then after that, unfortunately, there is a inverse thing that happens, which is a crash. When the blood sugar crash happens with the caffeine, you end up just feeling very hungry and very like restless. Is when you would want to go for your chips or go for another round of beverage, soft drink. So that creates a vicious cycle or a ripple effect of just over consuming food, because they come in liquid form. Because two things that the body cares for when it comes to satiety: one is the nutrient quality of your food, and secondly is it solid or it is liquid form. Because even an action of the jaw moving to chew a food is a signal to the brain that the food is coming. And once eventually, so that is the short term understanding. The long term is the nutrient that ultimately gets provided to the brain after it goes into the digestion and it goes into the bloodstream. So these are the two main factors that contribute to the satiety feeling. So as a person who's stressed and going through exams and wanting to eat the right food, avoiding such foods which are processed in nature, which come from the plant, is the first thing that you should be doing. Second thing is try to resort to whole foods. So if you have a sweet tooth, go for something, which is fruit based, not a juice, but a whole fruit. Because when you juice out the fruit, you just get the sugar. You don't get the fiber with it. So whenever you have a sweet tooth, resort to your fruits. If you want to improve your mental performance, try to have foods which are rich in monounsaturated fat, polyunsaturated fat, like fish oil, walnuts, your almond, any nut, dry fruits. Dry fruits, again, they are a sweet source for you to get sugar and good nutrients. Try to have more of protein rich foods like pulses, legumes, nuts, meat, fish. Fish, again, is a great source for omega 3. Almost 30% of the brain tissue that is there is omega 3. So that improves your brain functioning, mental performance, cognitive performance. So having foods which are whole in nature is what students who are studying and who are preparing for exam and wanting mental optimization performance should be resorting to.
So, Vijay, you talk about a four-step formula towards weight loss. Can you briefly explain what that four-step formula is, and also let us know if it is common across all ages?
Yeah. So the four-step formula that I give in the book is, so I believe that diets don't work. Firstly, that the whole book is about that, because diet is just one part of what you do and what makes you fit. The other two are your regular exercise and your sleep. So diets don't work because they are very specific to a particular way of eating. Correct. What I want to give is that one principle that will help people to manage their weight without starving. So if your satiety from food is highest after your meal or during a day, you end up losing weight, because there's an automatic calorie deficit that happens. One is forcing a calorie deficit, which is eating less than required, which is reducing all the calories equally. Other one is where you are eating in such a way that it is creating a deficit in your body, because your body is satisfied. Like a cold drink or a chips does not satisfy the body, but adds to the calorie load on the body. But if you have something which is wholesome in nature, that ends up satisfying you, and at the same time ensuring that if enough is provided to the body will automatically tell you to stop. Correct. So the principles on which the formula is based on is, firstly, you need to fast. People in today's time don't fast. Our ancestors, our forefathers used to have 3 square meals a day, which was enough for them. But unfortunately, today with the snacking culture, so one of the things that is told to people is that if you keep eating throughout the day, small meals, your metabolism will be very high, which will lead to fat loss. Correct. That is only true in the world where we only have whole foods. Today, we have a combination of whole foods and processed foods. And every snacking food that you may find today in the market is poor in protein, poor in good fats. They are all trans fats and all refined fats, and very high in carbs. And not the carbs that is attached with fiber, but that is, only starch or only sugar. So these are the snacks that people, normally snack on in today's time. So in my book, in the formula that I'm giving in the book, I'm encouraging people to fast. So, again, fall back to your ancestors' way of living, because our forefathers knew what was healthy for us. It's just that in today's time, we have forgotten that because of advertisement, because of, corporate interest in people wanting, should be consuming more so that their profits are, fulfilled, targets are fulfilled. So therefore, people need to fast for at least 12 hours in a day. So 8 hours, so 12 hours may feel, oh, 12 hours I'm fasting. But it's not that difficult, So while you're sleeping, you already fasted for 8 hours, correct? Typically, people eat 2 hours before, at least before sleeping. So 2 hours gone there, correct? So 11 hours, like 10, 11 hours are gone. Correct. You just need to wake up and fast for another hour, which is not so difficult. So basically, when you're fasting, you're balancing between fasting and feeding stage. So therefore, your equilibrium, your balance is there in the body. And the other benefit with fasting is that it allows the body to rejuvenate and recover. Because, as let me give you a simple example. say for example, you have a table or a furniture at home, correct? Which is like 15 years old. Now your body, sorry, your decision making will be, okay, if I have money, I'll throw this one, I'll buy a new one, correct? If I don't have money, I will probably repair it. I'll get a good architect or I'll get a good furniture guy and I will repair it. Same thing works for the body. In the absence of nutrients, in the absence of food, the body does not keep wanting to grow. That means create new structures. What it'll do is it'll introspect. Which are the faulty, which are the defective parts of mine, which are the defective cells of mine. Cells also have something called the mitochondria, which are the powerhouses of the cell. They are the source which is used for the cell to get energy from. So during the day, during the course of our life, they get damaged very frequently. So if you keep providing the food to the body will not be able to identify which are the laggard places where things need to be repaired or destroyed and remade. So when you fast, the body gets that time to introspect and to make sure that the repair work happens, which technically is also known as autophagy. Autophagy means the cell is getting broken down into its component parts and then getting remade as a fresh new cell. So that is why even your fasting is nowadays promoted to do cancer treatment. So when you're treating cancer, so basically cancer, how it arises, one of the mechanism is that the mitochondria that I just spoke of, the powerhouse of the cell, gets damaged. And if it is not repaired on time, it turns cancerous. Because the only common difference between a normal cell, a healthy cell, and a cancer cell is the health of the mitochondria. A healthy cell can use carbs, proteins, and fats to produce energy, which technically is called adenosine triphosphate, ATP. ATP is the energy currency that the body uses to exchange nutrients for the body to move, for the muscle to move, for the muscle to contract. Correct? So that ATP is produced by 3 macronutrients: carbs, proteins, and fats. A healthy cell can use all 3 to produce ATP. A cancer cell, on the other hand, can only use glucose. So glucose also is burned through 2 means. One is glycolysis, another one is ETC. Glycolysis is the one where sugar is burned in the absence of oxygen. Anaerobic. Whenever we exercising high intensity exercise, the muscle starts burning, correct? That burning sensation is anaerobic respiration. That means the cell is fermenting sugar in absence of oxygen. So it is not technically absence of oxygen, but the chemical reaction is taking place without using oxygen as a factor. So the cancer cell can only produce using sugar, the energy to grow, to proliferate, to multiply. So in such a case, when you're fasting, your blood sugar tends to be low. Correct? That means your cancer cells are somewhere saying that I'm not getting the nutrient that I require to stay alive or to grow. Whereas on the other hand, your healthy cells say that now blood sugar is low. There's an alternative fuel that I have, which is fat, which is coming from my fat stores. I'm able to use that. So that's why typically nowadays fasting is recommended for people who are going through chemotherapy. Because chemotherapy radiates all the cells in the body, cancerous and non-cancerous. So in a state in which a cell is getting nutrients versus a cell that is not getting nutrients, in the fasted state, which is cancer cell is not getting the nutrient, the sugar that it needs, and the healthy cell is getting fat, which it can use for energy, it's able to recover faster. So then you have a skewness towards destruction of cancer cells and retention of healthy cells.
Got it.
So fasting is the first tool that I recommend for people to follow, not only to burn fat for a longer period of time, but also to get healthy generally.
Got it. So, Vijay, let me come to your fitness part. We've spoken about food and nutrition.
Yeah.
What would you suggest as a small workout routine in the middle of a chaotic, stressful work scenario that all of us are living in, to ensure our weight management along with managing our food?
Sure. What people don't understand is walking is such an underestimated exercise. It's amazing how healthy can people be just by ensuring that they get their 10,000 steps a day. Because walking, what it does is, firstly, it encourages your muscles to utilize the sugar that is stored in them. Correct. And secondly is the contraction of the muscle because of walking ensures that there are anti-inflammatory molecules that are released in the body. These anti-inflammatory molecules are known as myokines. Myo stands for muscles, kine stands for some kind of signaling molecule. So when you do walking, at least your 10,000 steps during the day, your body is getting anti-inflammation signals, which ensures that the inflammation in the body is kept down, your immune system works well, your fat cells are not restricted to release fat, because in case of high inflammation, your brain and your fat cells don't communicate very well. So your brain can't communicate to the fat cell how much it needs to release. Your fat cell can't communicate to the brain how much fat is there. So that alignment goes off in case of inflammation. In case of non-inflammatory response, that is the myokine, because of movement, it ensures that inflammation is low and your fat mobilization is in tune with what your brain wants. So myokine benefit is the first thing that you get. Secondly is mobilization of nutrients, which is closely related to your myokines. And thirdly is utilization of glucose in the muscle. So, your muscles are your muscles rather are the highest reservoir of glucose that is there in the body. So whatever glucose you're having through food, so any carb that you have is getting converted into glucose. Needs to be stored in your body somewhere, otherwise your blood sugar will stay high. The three sites of storage of sugar is first is liver. The liver has the capacity of storing around 75 to 90 grams of sugar per day. Correct? In case of emergency, in case of some fight or flight situation happens, the liver is the first place from where the glucose is removed. Correct? Second place is your muscles. So your muscles need internal energy to contract, to move, to extend. So the carbs or the sugar is stored there. Thirdly is fat. If these two places, your liver is full, your muscles are full, the third place where the storage place is there for the carbs to go is in fat tissue, to be stored as fat. So when you're moving a lot, your muscles are utilizing sugar. So whenever you eat, before that or after that, your fat gain is the minimum. So therefore, walking is the most underrated and the most beneficial activity that one can do in case if there is paucity of time or your membership, people are not able to pay. Secondly is skipping. If you do rope skipping, say 100, after you wake up. So typically people who tell me they don't have time to work out, I just give them good solution. आप उठते हो, ब्रश करने के पहले आप सिर्फ 100 skipping करो और ब्रेकफास्ट के पहले करो. So I want you to be putting this 100 skipping or your star jumps, where you go up and down, you jump out in, out in, out. Do 100 of them before your breakfast, and you will have your good set of activity before your work. And then after that, if you're busy at work, be busy. Make sure that you're getting your 10,000 steps. And the days that you're not busy, say Saturday, Sunday, or whenever there's a public holiday, you make sure that you go to the gym, whichever that gym would be in your building or 48 or any other commercial gym.
Yeah, that's a brilliant, insight. I mean, I'm going to start doing it because I usually take out time after every 1 hour of work. I go for a 5 to 10 minute stroll.
Okay.
I'm glad that this is a good way to exercise whatever little bit we do.
Sure.
Vijay, my question to you is that a lot of people post middle age, so when they cross their 50, they tend to gain weight and they're also diagnosed with lifestyle diseases like diabetes and blood pressure, etc.
Hmm.
What can one manage? How can actually one manage their weight in the later stages of 50 years?
Hmm. So one of the prominent changes that happen in the body is that the body has lesser muscle mass than what it did in the younger age. So as we know that tissues in the body grow and survive because of hormonal instructions given to the tissue, correct? When it comes to muscles, the one hormone which is responsible for retaining muscles in the body once the protein is given is testosterone. Testosterone is the dominant male hormone which males have, correct? So if the testosterone levels go down, almost 5 to 10% every decade in the body. So therefore, the instruction to the body to retain the muscle mass goes down. And on top of that, as we get more sedentary, the more reason for the body to not have muscle mass because it's a metabolically very expensive tissue. Our body and brains are designed for survival, not for building bodies. Correct? So as soon as the body gets the opportunity to diminish its muscle mass because it will say you're not using. So hence I don't need it. Correct? On top of that, the instruction that is given to me every decade to retain my muscle mass is going down. Correct? Technically, it's known as anabolic resistance. So the body's ability to use protein to convert it into muscles go down because of testosterone drop in the body. So that is one factor leading to less metabolism, which is then leading to more muscle gain or more fat gain. Because as I said that if your metabolism is from 2000 to 1800, 1800 to 1500, 1500 to 1200, and your food intake stays at say 1800, over time you'll gain weight. Correct? So your muscles contribute to your metabolism because they are metabolically very expensive for the body to maintain, and they contribute to your metabolism, to your organ use or organ burning. So therefore, one reason for this to happen, this deterioration to happen, that easily weight is gained once you age, firstly is loss of muscle mass. Secondly, it is because of insulin resistance. Correct? So as we age, we use less of our muscles. As we age, we have less of our muscles. So both ways, use भी कम है और quantity भी कम है. Both of it contribute to the body refusing insulin to do its job. Correct? As I said, if your liver is full, your insulin will not work there to store food. If your number of or quantity of muscle fibers is less, your body will say that, okay, I've had enough. Don't give me more food. Correct? But still you're giving it food. So therefore, everything that is surplus to body's requirement will go into fat. So though if you were to track your calories and check what you were having in your 30s and 50s, more or less they'll stay the same, but your body has changed. So if you want to reverse this condition, you need to do two things. One is you need to make sure that you're stimulating your muscle mass by adding weight to every function in your body. Correct? So doing squats, doing push-ups, doing pull-ups. These are the three main functions of the body that you need to stimulate. So you're retaining your muscle mass through that. Correct? To counter anabolic resistance, which is your body's ability to use protein that you're consuming through food, be it meat, eggs, fish, legumes, pulses, grains, nuts. The body's ability to use protein in that to convert it into muscle, it goes down. Correct? So you need to increase your protein intake as you age so that whatever extra protein you're providing to your body is getting utilized to retain your muscle mass. Because the messenger of muscle synthesis, muscle making in the body has gone down, which is testosterone. So if you do these two things, your body firstly will be very energetic, very robust. Your bones will be like, they'll be ready to even, do a MMA fight or a boxing match. And secondly, you'll be losing weight without much effort. So that's a scientific way of approaching your weight gain as you age.
Got it. Got it. That's very brilliantly explained, Vijay. Vijay, I know we've taken a lot of time, but I have one last question before I let you go.
Sure, sure. No, I can go
Just
on for 2-3 hours if you're up for
I
it.
can, I can actually, I can see the passion that you have, and I'll take that offer and I'd schedule another interview with you.
Sure, sure,
It
sure.
is absolutely brilliantly useful for our audience.
Thank you.
Vijay, as a celebrity nutritionist,
Hmm.
what are some of the basic food-related myths that you would like to break relating to gaining fat and or weight loss?
So food related myths, firstly, that I've covered in my book is fat makes you fat. So, many people think that because you're having fat is why you're becoming fat. And somewhere I would attribute it to the person who has named, fat in the body as fat and fat in the food as fat. So, somewhere we make that correlation that, fat makes you fat. So that would be one myth that I'm debunking, that fat does not make you fat.
Right.
It is the, blood sugar spiking, blood sugar dropping that makes you fat because you end up overeating whenever it goes down. So that is one point that I'm clearing, one myth that I'm clearing. Second myth is that carbs make you fat. So because all carbs are not created equally, you're not fattening. As I said, that the body does not care about the calories that you're providing it as much as it cares about the nutrients that you're providing it, which are essential in nature. So if you're consuming whole carbs, natural carbs, it will not make you fat because it will not make you overeat because you're still providing the nutrients to the body that it needs, as opposed to your processed carbs, which are just calories, just carbs, just satisfying your tongue, not your body. So those are fattening carbs that need to be removed from the diet if fat loss is what you're looking at. Thirdly is calorie is a calorie. People think that protein count, yeah, if I eat protein, carbs, or fats, if I overdo them, I will get fat. But that is not the fact because each calorie in your body operates in a different way, influences your metabolism, which is your fat burning, influences your satiety, which is your satisfaction from the meal, impacts your appetite, which is you're wanting to have another bite of food. All that is influenced differently by carbohydrate, proteins, and fats, all of which give calories. So calorie is not a calorie. So that is another myth that I would say. And lastly, when it comes to water, people don't understand that water is equally important for the body when it comes to fat loss. Because even if you were to check the chemical reaction that leads to fat loss, water is a vital component of it. So when you're dehydrated, dehydration, the signals is that you're feeling thirsty or your throat is feeling dry. So that is a what do you say, delayed signal to your dehydration or your thirst. So if you're not having enough water throughout the day, your fat burn will be very slow. So though you will say that I'm following a great diet, having my macros properly in the food, I'm making sure that I'm sleeping consistently, I'm making sure that I exercise regularly, but why am I not losing weight or losing fat? It is because you're dehydrated most of the time. So make sure that as a rule, you consume at least 3 to 3.5 liters of water per day, so that you can divide by 250 ml, every hour. You can keep a reminder. So water has a big contribution not only in your health, contributing to improving your health, but also improving your fat loss. So that would be the final myth that I would say that need to be cleared, that water is not important.
Got it. Got it. Vijay, it has been such an amazing conversation.
My
And,
pleasure. My pleasure.
for two reasons. One, I think, a lot of people talk about food, nutrition, exercising, but very few are able to articulate in a manner that it is understood by people who do not understand science. You've been
Sure.
able to very beautifully explain the science of losing weight. And second is, I love the way in which I mean, I do not know whether you are aware of it or not, but unintentionally, आपका जो relation to your financial background and related to the work that your family does, आप जैसे कि you're talking about expense of calories, kharcha karna. That was very beautiful. So thank you so much for taking out time, and I will take you on that offer to interview once again
Sure.
and bring more of such useful information to our well-being world users. So
Sure,
thank you so much for your time.
It'll be a pleasure.
Yes.
And speak to you soon.